I saved her. I saved her. Now, if you were here in the live watch along against Atalanta, you know that she risked her life. And I saved her. So I'm a hero now. Right. We've got Vitesse on Thursday. I am scared, basically, for the reason everyone is scared. Because BODO GLIMT in this tournament beat us 6-1. And that just immediately needs to put, an alarm in the player's mind, in Mourinho's mind. I know what losing brutally means in the Conference League. I can't allow myself to do it again. And I feel like, this signal in our minds about the Conference League hasn't just, appeared since we got, since we've announced after the draw that we would play Vitesse. That fear of the Conference League, that fear of that signal to respond to this tournament has definitely, developed in players' minds immediately after that defeat. And I think, I don't want to say that the players have now understood it, because I genuinely might be wrong. But I bet you seconds after the ref blew the final whistle against Vitesse, the players were already thinking about the next match in the Conference League. And that, because after BODO GLIMT, after that defeat against BODO GLIMT when we lost 6-1, our next match was Napoli. And I was at the stadium and it ended in 0-0, very boring match, not gonna lie. But a draw against Napoli, so what I'm trying to say is that the reaction to that match has been there since we lost. Not now, that signal hasn't appeared now that we have to think about Vitesse on Thursday. It has always been there. And I think there are many players in this team which have grown because of that BODO GLIMT defeat. One of which is Kumbula. I remember in the BODO GLIMT live watch long saying Kumbula was so slow. And I remember I said he was slower than an elephant carrying a fridge on his back, if that's what I said. And I remember very, very, very well what Kumbula went through in that match. He was so slow. He basically led to like 3 BODO GLIMT goals. Kumbula now is one of our best defenders. He is one of our few defenders which actually defends. Now, don't get me wrong, the defense has been great against Atalanta, great against La Spezia, but at the end of the day, we've got, Ibanez, which once in a while bottles some matches, Mancini, too aggressive, and once again, bottles some matches as well. Kumbula is one of those players which after the BODO GLIMT defeat has just impressed me a lot. And it's his confidence which has grown. And I think there are other players which are like this, So I think, yes, Conference League is back. Oh God, I lost 6-1 to BODO GLIMT. It's another black and yellow team, Vitesse. I'm playing away, very cold climate. I can visualize a 6-1 Vitesse win. Frankly speaking though, will that happen? It can't happen. And I can't stress this word enough. It cannot happen. I'm gonna say it. I underestimated BODO GLIMT, as I think every Roma fan underestimated BODO GLIMT, as I think every football fan underestimated BODO GLIMT. I am not gonna underestimate Vitesse, because, everyone says learn from your errors. But I am convinced that such a performance as BODO GLIMT can't repeat itself. It just can't. It's one of those laws of football. You cannot, submit and retrieve another defeat like that. It just won't happen. Don't get me wrong, Vitesse can win. They can win 1-0, they can win 2-1. But such a match as BODO GLIMT will not happen. I am 100% guaranteed. And, I might be jinxing this. I might be, at home you might be saying, stop saying this, because Vitesse will then end up beating us 7-1. It won't happen. It will not happen. And I am proud to say it won't. Imagine if BODO GLIMT if Vitesse actually wins 6-1. God. Maybe I shouldn't have said this. But, in my opinion, it's not that, you see, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying it's impossible, right? I'm not saying, oh yeah, we lost 6-1 a few months ago, it's never gonna happen again. But what I'm trying to say is that it can't happen again. Because the players now know how to approach such a match. The players now know how to kind of cope with this tournament, which has been the daredevil of this season. So the players can't allow themselves to perform in another way as BODO GLIMT. Mourinho can't allow himself, another defeat like that 6-1 against BODO GLIMT. Because, if it were going to happen, then, I wouldn't say revolution, but fans would get very pissed off. So, it can't happen again. And what I'm trying to say is, don't get me wrong, anything can happen in this sport. It's one of the most unpredictable sports out there. But like the law of football says, it just can't happen. It can happen next season, don't get me wrong. It will happen next season. Every season, Roma get brutally defeated at least once. This season it was BODO GLIMT. Last season it was Manchester United. 2 years ago it was another team. A few years ago it was Bayern Munich when we lost 7-1. It's going to happen next year. Just expect that because it's a trend. But right now, just a few months after that performance against BODO GLIMT, it physically can't happen. It just can't. The players can't allow themselves to perform in such a way as they played against BODO GLIMT. They just can't. They know they can't. Because if they do, the second they do that, they're screwed, and the fans will revolt if something like similar to BODO GLIMT happen against. Now, the scope of this live stream is not a preview, because preview will come tomorrow about predicted 11 and stuff. So I'm not going to talk about the team right now. I am going to focus on talking about Vitesse though, and how they can cause problems. Now, just as you can read from the statistics on your screen, the entire team of Vitesse are worth 30 million euros, which puts to mind that they are a smallish club. Now, that's not most voted player, that is most valuable player. The most valuable player is Gerbic, which, if I'm not wrong, is on loan from someone else. And they're currently 6th in the Eredivisie. Now, this is possibly the statistic where we can spend more time on, because for a team which, don't get me wrong, the Eredivisie, the league, the Netherlands league, has some interesting teams. But the only 3 teams which pop in my mind, 4 maybe, are Ajax, PSV, Feyenoord, and AZ Alkmaar. These are the only 4 teams which pop in my mind when someone goes, oh yeah, Eredivisie. I don't follow it, but being 6th isn't that great for a league such as, the league from the Netherlands. So I do think a team which is now in the Europa Conference League could possibly do better. But the teams which are above Vitesse in the Eredivisie are Ajax for sure, and the Ajax first, PSV Eindhoven second, Feyenoord third, Alkmaar, AZ Alkmaar, so all the teams we listed, and then we've got Twente and then Vitesse. So yeah, they're up there, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I do think for a team who, is now in the Conference League, who beat Tottenham, and that, then I think maybe I expect more. But once again, I don't follow the league, so I might be wrong. So there might be more interesting teams. Now, I do want to point out on something which I think characterizes this team, because I think what Vitesse really is good at is the growing of players. Now, the name which possibly pops up in your mind when you say Vitesse is Mason Mount. Vitesse are well known for circulating young players giving them that experience. And then it's one of those typical clubs which big clubs focus on to loan players, and they've received some very interesting players such as Mason Mount from Chelsea. They've received another player from Chelsea. I can't remember his name, but he was at that time he was probably the best player in this team. Not Musa, something like that. Maybe something like that. If you know what I mean, maybe. Right, let me search it up. His name is Musa. No, it wasn't Musa. It was someone else. It was. Right, can't remember. But Bertrand Traoré is another one. Bertrand Traoré, which plays for Burkina Faso national team. They're teams which big teams focus on to loan players. And this puts to mind that they have got interesting young players. Obviously, they're not worth millions and millions of pounds. But it makes and it characterizes this team. They are a team which love receiving interesting young players, and 40% of these young players, which then leave Vitesse, are great talents. So you see what I'm trying to say is that they've got a good young squad. Their fans are pretty, what do you call them, violent? I wouldn't say violent, but their fans are pretty fierce. And in 3 days we are playing away. Now, just to give you a perspective, the match which they had to play this weekend, once again I might be wrong slightly, but it's something similar. The match which they had to play this weekend had to be stopped because had to be suspended because the fans were too fierce. And FIFA are currently trying to find an agreement on how many fans are being allowed on Thursday for the match. They've got fierce fans, which at home, cold temperatures can be the winning factor, can be the key factor of a Vitesse success. And this is exactly the pressure which I think Roma need to kind of maintain, because they're playing at home, and I bet you that the climate is gonna be pretty cold, not as it was in BODO GLIMT, but it was. I mean, just to give you a perspective, climate in Amsterdam right now, which is around the time we're gonna play a match in a couple of days, is around 3 degrees. It's cold. And players which are used to being in Rome, which is a warm city, are not used to this. And we know, yes, the performance was very bad, but climate did play a big part in the BODO GLIMT defeat. If you mix all the factors which are on their side, fans playing at home, very fierce fans, climate, I wouldn't say they're the favourites, because, after the Atalanta win, after the Spezia win, both with great defending, our momentum is starting to grow back again. I would say, though, that this is a very equal match. And this is why, conclusion is, we can't allow to underestimate them again. If we do, it's gonna be disastrous. Because if they do, they're a team which play fast football, they're a team which have plenty of young players, aka fast football. They're playing at home in front of fans, anything can happen. And the second we underestimate them, the second we play the first 10 minutes of the match being, oh yeah, it's Vitesse, who cares, that's when another BODO GLIMT defeat will happen. But coming towards this match, as I said before, we can't allow ourselves, to play like we played against BODO GLIMT. We can't allow ourselves to have the same approach as we did against BODO GLIMT. Now, something else which I want to point out, which is kind of a negative factor towards us, a negative trend, is that after good results, Roma never gives a good consistent rhythm. For example, after, the morale of the fans, the morale of the players, after the 4-1 win against Atalanta, next match, 1-1 at home against Sampdoria. Now, we're building that momentum back. We won against Spezia, we won against Atalanta. I could easily see this being a flop. And our, consistency being crushed again. So it's a very equal match. We can't allow to underestimate them at all. And we'll see. I'll catch you tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, for the match preview. We'll talk about predicted 11. We've got some updates. We'll talk about, once again, how they might play, the way they play, and once again, how Roma will approach this match. And then on Wednesday, it will be Mourinho's return to press conferences, actually. He's back. So it'll be Mourinho's press conference reaction. He's back after not giving a press conference against Atalanta and against La Spezia. And it'll be interesting because he can comment the matches which he has, having a red card, he didn't have a chance to comment. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what Mourinho says, especially after the Atalanta win. But if you're new here and watching this, if you're a Vitesse fan, please subscribe. Let's get this channel to 2,100 subscribers as fast as possible. Like this live stream as soon as it becomes a video. And comment in the comments if Vitesse can pull off another BODO GLIMT in front of AS Roma. And follow me on Instagram at @TheRomaGuyLowerScore and subscribe to my second channel. Link is in the description below. And I'll catch you tomorrow for the match.